Welcome back to Stooge Stream. I'm your host, the Stooge. This is our new show, Wife versus Cartoons. I grew up on a healthy dose of 80s and 90s cartoons. The wife, not so much. So now I'm reintroducing her to some of the things that she missed during her childhood, and we're going to review and talk about them. So let me introduce the host, the one and only Knockout Fiona.
Hi guys, just to set the scene, for example, yesterday the Stooge was watching the original X-Men cartoon, and I had not, as a teenager, I had never even heard of the X-Men, let alone the cartoon. I had a friend who'd lived in Indonesia and she loved the cartoon. I thought she was so exotic and international knowing this X-Men. So basically I grew up on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and She-Ra and He-Man.
That's it.
That's it.
So for the first episode, I've pulled out two sort of stranger cartoons. We watch an episode each of them. First up, let's start with BraveStarr, which is the story of Marshall BraveStarr, an American Indian space cowboy who has three superpowers he can call on: the strength of the bear, the speed of the puma, and the eyes of the eagle, which help him apprehend the villains and coyotes, smugglers, and Tex Hex, who's the main villain in the series, who ironically you don't see in the first episode. So the first episode is primarily about Marshall BraveStarr and his talking robotic horse 3030. They have a disagreement about the use of Sarah Jane, which is 3030's blaster, who apparently he's a little bit too trigger happy with. Which leads to Marshall BraveStarr not being able to catch the coyotes that they're after, who he eventually catches on his own. 3030 wanders off into the desert and goes back to where he came from, the Hall of Equestria bots or something, and gets sent back to the past before he met Marshall BraveStarr. BraveStarr has to use the help of the shaman to go back to the past to basically break 3030 in again, as you would a wild horse, capture him, but then at the same time proving he's not a bad guy by saving his life, because the hall starts getting destroyed when he's in there, and they're fighting over Sarah Jane, and he becomes Marshall BraveStarr's partner. There's really no introduction to the characters. You kind of just dropped into the world in the first episode and you swim along. This cartoon was very much made to sell a toy line. It wasn't a cartoon that was made to be almost an entertainment product. It's just by chance it became one. A lot of cartoons in the 80s and 90s were literally made just to sell a toy line. And this was a toy line. The cartoon was made to sell that toy line. The first episode, what did you think?
Well, surely this was a cartoon for a slightly older class of children, or did it not really matter? Did kids of all ages watch these things?
In the 80s and 90s, it really didn't matter.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to the dark recesses of my mind and childhood, and yeah, I think even as 4 and 5 year olds, we probably just watched whatever was available. Even She-Ra and He-Man was pretty advanced, and we love that.
Yeah, you look back on it, and it is it was aimed at young children, whereas these days that would probably be aimed at 10-year-olds.
Yeah. I think anything with colors and animation and moving pictures and voices, kids are like, oh, wow, what's this? But this particular series, BraveStarr, 3030, the companion robotical horse sidekick, yeah, he's on a Texas redneck pro-gun gun freedom, and you can't tell me not to bear arms, isn't he? Wow.
He's a real redneck.
It opens up, it opens straight away in the episode with them arguing over 3030 becoming too trigger happy. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Westerns, and this is obviously very much influenced by Star Wars. It's a space Western, which is basically what Star Wars was. And you can feel the influence of the droids, the robots. There's a lot of that in this, the speeders and that type of thing in the vehicles they ride and use and so forth. But they also, if you've noticed, there was a lot of characters that you saw, even though you didn't even see the main villain and his henchmen. You saw a lot of characters and a lot of vehicles and a lot of accessories very quickly in this.
Ah, right. Yeah, it's you've got to look out for all the little add-on bits.
Yeah. So, the little Segway
Helicopter personal flight
I'm
device,
sure that was
which is very cool. Can someone invent that now,
yeah,
please?
I'm sure that was probably an accessory you could buy.
Although you could only use that in the desert because, let's face it, in an urban population, a little helicopter spinning blades a foot off the ground would probably decapitate people from the knees or, lose a limb.
So back to the episode itself, though. What did you think of the actual feel and structure and so forth? I really like the animation style, but a lot of cartoons of this era had that really nice hand-drawn animation
It really
style.
feels indicative, late 80s? Mid 80s? Yeah. Mid to late 80s. It was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It was probably a little bit too... it's too hard to watch these things now as an adult, when you know all the subversive messages in there. But they interestingly did turn to the camera and do the fourth wall breakdown of the moral of the story to the kids at the end.
Which was a very, very 80s and 90s cartoon thing. You had this in Masters of the Universe, you had this in Transformers, you had this in just about everything, where at the very end of each episode, the characters would tell you what the moral of the story was. Like, hey kids, this week so-and-so learnt, rah, rah, rah. And they did that. So.
Yes, they did. They learned that friends can have differences of opinion, sometimes very strong differences, but fighting ain't going to solve nothing. That's not the answer. And good friends just need to put their differences aside and agree to disagree.
Which is a very cool message for kids.
It is a cool message. I think there were some more adult messages there about gun control laws and and use of firearms in the United States. The story itself was a bit random, like him the horse going back in the past. He went back to an empty hall where there's no one around.
Except him and his gun.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of gun polishing.
Yeah.
All right.
But it was okay. It was all right.
So on a scale of don't watch, meh, or I'm interested to see more, where are you sitting?
Definitely interested to see more because of the influence of Star Wars. I do also love the old westerns of the 30s to 60s. Hollywood westerns, so that influence as well.
All right, so we may see more reviews on episodes of
BraveStarr. A little bit too moralistic, and also a little bit I don't know, in this day of political correctness, a little bit not racist, but on the nose with the Native American and the shaman and
a touch.
Yeah.
But I feel at the same time they kind of were trying to be as.
It could have been worse.
It could have been a lot worse. They were trying to be as respectful as possible to the culture and the material, but at the same time, it was still the 80s, so as respectful as possible for the 80s.
I would watch more, but again, for my adult taste, a little bit too moralistic, I think.
So we may see more reviews of BraveStarr episodes in the future. All right, now the other show I showed her, and again, I wanted to be a little bit stranger, a little bit more out there, was the first episode of Toxic Crusaders. Now, Toxic Crusaders was based off an R-rated Troma series called The Toxic Avenger, where a nerd, geek, weirdo gets turned into a toxic radioactive superpowered monster and goes back and takes out all the people that have been treating him badly and becomes a sort of quasi-superhero.
Quasi-vigilante, maybe?
Yeah, vigilante. He has a very blind girlfriend that thinks he's hot. And it's Troma do R-rated horror comedies. That's what their whole gimmick is, with things like Captain Kabuki Man and all the rest of the stuff that they did was all very Tromeo and Juliet and stuff. It's very high concept, low quality gore, very low quality filmmaking, tiny, ridiculous, no budget movies. But really cool. I'm a huge fan of Troma. I've watched a lot of their stuff. So this was taking an R-rated property and turning it into a PG kids cartoon. So all the Troma stuff usually had some sort of social message in it, and the Toxic Avenger was about the use of radioactive waste and how to get rid of it and materials and polluting society and so forth. And they kind of did that with this kids cartoon, which was very much a cash-in on the Ninja Turtles craze. It looked like Ninja Turtles. It had that same color palette. The toy line that came along with it, they looked like Ninja Turtles toys. They felt like Ninja Turtles toys. The only thing is, this only lasted one season. And I think it's basically because of the content. Because it was a little bit maybe too adult for the audience that networks would have been trying to aim it at.
Oh yeah, it's pretty subversive.
Okay, so the story starts with Melvin being a janitor in a gym. The actual movie, he's a janitor at a adult theatre. So,
Jizz mopper.
yeah, basically a jizz mopper. He's a geek and nerd. The bullies are picking on him. The bully chick says, "Come and meet me at the pool, and here's put on this tutu ballerina outfit, and we're gonna, have hot sex, but in a very PG manner." He goes, they trick him, he falls into the vat, he turns into the Toxic Avenger, and starts fighting off radioactive criminals. There is an overall arcing criminal who's an alien cockroach that's trying to pollute the world, so
Dr. Kill-em-all.
Dr. Kill-em-all, so he can take over the world with his alien race.
Cockroach race, yep.
There's other superpowered people in it, but I'm going to actually let you describe the episode and what happens in it.
Well, it was a classic origin story episode.
It is.
With the nerd unlikely hero, falling unwillingly into a vat of toxic waste that the evil villain has dumped outside a high school in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Just as a way to start.
Tromaville.
Yeah, that's it.
/ New Jersey.
Yeah. I'm sure it reference that it's in New Jersey at one point.
Yeah, Tromaville is pretty much New Jersy. It's always meant to.
Well, with those accents, they're Joyzy, that's for sure. The evil henchman's much smarter, much more astute sidekick points out that maybe it's not the best idea to dump the toxic waste there, because what if an unwitting nerd accidentally falls into it and becomes a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength? That is the catch cry for the episode, just in case you aren't sure.
Which is a line that's used over and over in the episode. It's actually quite funny. It's one of those. It's a very Conan O'Brien-esque joke.
Yeah.
He'll keep hitting you over the head with it until you just start laughing because you can't help it anymore. It's a very Lloyd Kaufman style of humor that you see in the Troma movies is represented in the series. I like it.
Well, our hero turns himself into the Toxic Crusader, or Toxie. I think he uses the
affectionately
coins as a little
referred.
nickname. Yeah. And finds himself a girlfriend, a pretty naive blonde chick who's wandering through the toxic waste dump playing the accordion.
Yeah.
Saves us from some bad guys.
With the same ones that were picking on him.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. One of the bad guys gets thrown into a tub of acid rain and he becomes
bonehead,
hideously deformed himself, and joins the evil henchman and tries to take down our Toxic Crusader. He saves an orphanage from being destroyed. Yeah.
So he's got a superpower where he can feel danger.
It's like the Spidey sense.
But only if he's in eyesight or earshot of it.
Yeah, his toxic glow starts tingling. Yeah, and he turns around, the danger's right behind him.
Yeah, or there's literally running past him. And he's like, I think something bad's happening.
And then after saving the orphanage, he encounters the wrath of Dr. Kill-em-all because he's stopping his plans to take over Earth, because he actually is a secret evil alien cockroach race, and they need Earth to be polluted with toxic gases and have all the environment destroyed before it's habitable for his race. A couple of old war vets. One's a war vet, and what's the pilot? Yeah, join forces with him at the end, and they become a little crew.
They become the Toxic Crusaders.
Exactly. Yep. They all live happily ever after, it seems.
I love the...
until the next episode where Dr. Kill-em-all causes strife.
Yeah, which we're going to maybe talk about later, we'll see. But I love the mother character in this. So when he goes home and he's all, mutated and ranch, and he's like, so what do I do now? She's like, go to the toxic waste dump. She's even like, you're not my problem.
Until he becomes famed for his superhero prowess. And she's like, he's my son.
When a camera's there, she's there. It's brilliant.
And she's a very typical Jewish New Jersey stereotypical mother, it seems. Yeah.
The girlfriend who, if you've noticed, wears the same glasses as the mother at the end. He's pretty much dating his mother.
Ooh, see, as an adult, I really like this show. It is ridiculously tongue-in-cheek, subversive. There's so many like references and ridiculous comedy in there. So as a kid, I think it might have been like a little bit weird. You were sort of like, oh, okay, it's not quite like Turtles and it's a bit too corny, but I could watch all of this series now.
As an adult. Yeah, definitely. Look, I was trying to save it, but this is a great series. It's so much fun. It's a shame that it only lasted one season. This is a rewatch as an adult, definitely. BraveStarr could be a little bit difficult for adults to watch. Like, I enjoy it because I watched it when I was younger, and I love Westerns. If you don't love Westerns, you're not going to like BraveStarr, but Toxic Crusader is so subversive and so funny. Doesn't matter what you're into, you will have a great time with this show. It is hilarious. It breaks the fourth wall. It does silly stuff.
Yeah.
The characters are all mentally handicapped. There's no question about that. They're all brain damaged in some way. But in a really funny way, like, Toxie is so oblivious to the world. Like, he's so dumb. But yet he's still smarter than his girlfriend. Which is, how? His mother is a very stereotype of that Jewish, like, New Jersey mother that we've seen in movies and TV shows and stuff. The bad guys are, the henchman, the head bad guy, Dr. Killmall, is so dumb. He's always going to lose. His henchman even tells him every time how he's going to lose, exactly what's going to happen.
I think the henchman's my favorite character so far.
It's a great parody of like that style of cartoons.
Maybe they're all products of the American school system. Yeah. You can definitely sense the Ninja Turtles cash in. Like the opening title and jingle is quite like poorly done. It's just sort of like Toxic Crusaders. Like, let's just make up a really bad little song. Lots of hypercolor and stuff.
Yeah.
But there is actually
toy line, if you see the toys, they are Ninja Turtle rip-off toys.
You go.
And I had
that's where they put their money in.
Yeah, but it was a great toy line. That toy collectors really remember this toy line and remember this cartoon. But I don't think they really remember the cartoon, because you go back and really watch it now as an adult, you're like, wow, this isn't... I remember bright colors and superheroes and stuff, not this.
It's... Underlyingly, there is a parable for like rising above a shitty situation and making the most of it.
There is. That's the whole point of the story. Is like this dude was nothing, and by the end of it, he's a beloved hero, regardless of what he looks like.
Hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength.
Yeah. So I really love this. I thought this was great. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So that's the first episode of Girlfriend versus Cartoons.
Yeah, that's right. Was I wife versus to begin with? I'm interchangeable, FYI.
Yeah, it's wife versus cartoons. I screw up sometimes. That's why she's here. So yeah, BraveStarr, we give a thumbs up, but Toxic Crusaders is a giant yes, you have to watch this.
Yeah, but you have to have a little bit of a dark, twisted humor as well.
Well, we're hoping adults are listening to this. Yeah. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed. If there's cartoons you want us to watch, comment below, let us know. I'll introduce her to them. We'll have another episode next week. This is going to be a Sunday morning thing where we'll pull out an episode or two of different cartoons.
Sunday morning cartoons! Bring them back!
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to watch a whole lot of stuff that hopefully some of you haven't heard of or completely forgotten about, and you're like, oh yeah, that! I'm going to go back and watch that.
Bring it on.
And until next time, adventure, excitement. Stooge craves not these things.
Welcome to the Stooge Revolution.